Hello everyone, how's it going? My name is Victor, and in this video I want to show a basic CI/CD pipeline that you can use to integrate code changes in your app and deploy your app with those changes automatically. So I want to make a few disclaimers here. Number one, I'm by no means an expert on this topic, but this is something that I really needed in the past, and it turned out to be super useful because it ended up saving me a lot of time. So I would like to offer you the same thing. And second, I won't go too in depth in every single tool and every single thing that we make in this video, but the main thing I want to explain is the sequence of steps that needs to happen in order for all of this to work out. Okay, so I have a little presentation here that I want to go through. So I already explained what a CI/CD pipeline does. So here's a bit of a more complete definition if you want to check that out. Now, I want to go through the tools that we're gonna use. So we're gonna use GitHub and GitHub Actions. GitHub you probably already know. But GitHub Actions is a tool that will let you automate workflows like building, testing, and deploying code directly from GitHub. So this is a super powerful tool that needs a few configuration files, actually just one, and it's important to place it in a specific part in your directory. And I'm going to show you that in the future. So the next tools that we're gonna need is Docker and Dockerfile. So Docker you can think of it as a box in which you put your app in, and as it is isolated, you can basically run it anywhere. In my case, we're gonna run it locally in my machine, which would be in macOS, but you could perform exactly the same steps with Docker in a VPS, for example, that is running Ubuntu. So two completely different environments, but as your app is isolated, it can work exactly the same. Okay. So the other tool we're gonna use is Dockerfile. So this is a platform in which you can upload your Docker images. So Docker containers runs images inside of them. Okay. Now you can have images locally, but in our case, we're gonna upload them to a cloud service, which is Dockerfile, and you will understand why in a few minutes. Okay. The last service or tool we're going to use is Watchtower. Watchtower is a tool that lets you monitor Docker containers and automatically update them whenever a new image is available. So Watchtower, it's able to listen for changes in our remote images that we have on Dockerfile. So whenever we push a new version of our app, a new image version, Watchtower will be listening, and when it finds a new version, it will pull that new version, it will restart the container running that image in our VPS, for example, and it will restart the container. And when it restarts the container, you will be able to see this new version of your app. Okay, so as a quick recap, this is the workflow that we are trying to achieve, the sequence of steps that we are trying to achieve. Number one, we're going to use GitHub Actions to build and push a new Docker image to Dockerfile every time we merge code to the main branch. Okay. The next step is that the app will be running in a container using a command called docker-compose.app. I will explain you what this does and how you can achieve and use the docker-compose app command in a few minutes. And this will allow us to pull the latest image from Dockerfile. Okay. Next, we're gonna use Watchtower to monitor the image and automatically restart the container when a new version is available. Okay, so this is the workflow. This is the sequence of steps that we need to perform, and in my opinion, this is the most important thing that you can take away with you from this video. Okay, so first thing that I want to do is show you the app that we're going to be using as an example. It's not a super complex app. It's basically just a to-do app that I'm gonna show you in development mode now with npm run dev. And if we go to this URL here, you can see that it is a to-do app that you can use to add items. Okay, nothing too crazy, but this is actually what we want right now because we want to focus on the deployment. Okay, and the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna check out the configuration files that you need for this process. So first thing is the Dockerfile. The Dockerfile are the instructions to build your Docker images from your code. Okay, so as I said, I'm not gonna go too in depth here, but I'm just gonna read in like something like plain English what we are trying to do here. So we're going to use a base image, which will be node. We are going to place ourselves within the container, or we're going to define a working directory within the container as user source app. We're going to copy all of our code inside the container. We're going to install all the dependencies. We are going to build our this directory or our build directory from our code. We are going to use the nginx image to actually serve those files, those static files that we just built to the users, and we're going to place them within the nginx container in exactly the correct place that nginx needs to actually serve our file successfully. Okay, so that's the first one. This is what will let Docker know how to build that image. Okay, now we are going to go to this pipeline.yml or YAML file, and you can see that this is a really important thing that you need to know. It should be placed in your root directory in a directory named .github, and within that directory in a workflows directory, and within that directory you could use I believe you could use any name here, but in our case we're using pipeline.yml, and this is actually what defines our GitHub Actions. Okay, so again I will read it in plain English. Basically this is the name of the pipeline or of the GitHub Actions, if I'm not mistaken. And we're saying here, this is the trigger. We're saying that whenever you push to the main branch, you perform these actions. Okay, you will publish to Docker Hub, and this is the steps you're gonna take. So first of all, we're gonna be performing these actions running on Ubuntu, and we're gonna use these steps. We are going to check out the code from our code repository into basically the place or the server in which we need to start running these actions, such as login to Docker Hub, because this is something we need to do to be able to push images to our Docker Hub account. Now, one thing to notice is that many of these actions are already built. Actually, the checkout action is already built, the login action is already built, because they're so commonly used. Okay, so getting back to the steps, we check out the code, we log into Docker Hub, we need to pass the these secret variables, which is the Docker Hub username, in my case my username, and a token that you need to generate in Docker Hub. I'm going to show you where you define these secrets in a minute, but after we log in, we build and we push the image of our app to Docker Hub. Okay, so this is what our pipeline.yml does, and I'm going to show you where exactly you need to define these secret variables. Now if we go to my GitHub account, this is the repository of the app we're using. Now if you go to settings, you could see, I'm gonna make this larger. You can see here in security you have a secrets and variables section. If you click this, you can see actions. Now in actions, you can see that I defined the Docker Hub token and the Docker Hub username. This is something you need to do in order for everything to work, because you need to authenticate yourself. You need to log in before you can push an image into your Docker Hub account. Okay, and the last configuration file that we need to check out is the Docker Compose. Now the Docker Compose actually will help you to start running your containers, and it can let you run multiple containers at once, which is convenient in our case. So in plain English, again, we are saying here that these are the services that we want to run. We have the front end. This is just a name that I put to the container or to the service actually, and we're going to use this image. This is important because this is my my Docker Hub username, and this is the image name that I'm defining. Now you can see here, this is the image. This is on Docker Hub. This is the Docker Hub UI, and this is my username, and this is the image name. Okay, now if it doesn't exist yet, it will create one, and if it already exists, it will create a new version of it. Now we're saying I recommend you do your own research and find out exactly what this does, but we're basically matching the ports from the container to the hosting machine. Okay, now we say that we want to restart always. This will help when Watchtower will restart the container. We define a name for the container, and we define the other service that we want to use, which is Watchtower. This is the image from Watchtower. We define an environment variable. This is basically saying that we want to check for new images version every 30 seconds. Okay. Now we have some volumes. Again, you should research what this does, but it basically lets you manage the data in a persistent way. And that's pretty much it. Now, all of these configuration files are needed and required to actually achieve what we're trying to do. And now, right now, we're gonna do a demo of it. So first thing first, we are going to update the code. Okay, so now we can go again to our app, and right here I have a few code changes that I will paste into the code. So this is still running in development mode. I'm gonna change the code. This is just adding styles basically, and now you can see that this looks better, right? It's something already. And the next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna start running the container. Okay, so remember that in Visual Studio Code, or here my app directory, I have this file docker-compose.yml. So if I let me see, let me open here with app terminal. I hope you can see this. Yeah, so right now I open a terminal within my app directory, and I'm going to run docker compose app. Okay, now I'm doing docker compose app. Okay, so in this case, I need to open the Docker desktop app before I can actually run docker compose app. Now I'm hoping this works. There we go. Now this is actually serving the files. We are not running only on development mode as I showed earlier. We're actually serving these files. Now this is exact same thing should be happening on our VPS, let's say, and it should work the same way. Only that our VPS will be running 24/7 and will be answering to the users that want that need the files whenever they visit our website. Okay, so this is running. Nginx runs on a 8080 port. So you can see here that this looks like this because we haven't updated the code yet. This is what we're going to do. But this is what we have in development mode, and this is what we are serving currently. Okay, this is the code from our main branch, which is our production code. Now we are going to perform a commit in our develop branch, and we're gonna merge it to main, and you will be able to see how it automatically updates in our production environment, which we are serving in the port 8080. Okay, so okay, now we did a commit, and we are going to push the develop branch. And now in GitHub, we can see that we have new changes. We are going to compare and perform a pull request. We're going to create it, and we are going to merge it and confirm this merge. Now you will see something happening here. If you go back to the main page, you can see this yellow dot here. This means that we are performing a GitHub action. So remember that the trigger was whenever we merge code to the main branch. So whenever that happens, we are going to be performing a set of actions. Now go to actions, we can actually see that this is performing, and there are a lot. If you click here, you will see a lot of actions that are being performed right now, step by step. Now we can see that everything went well right now, and please know that you can make this more complete. You could and you should perform testing. So you build an automated testing file or suite, and you make sure that you run testing before you deploy your code to production, which is something that you want in most of the cases. Okay, so now if we go to the terminal, we should see a really interesting log message. I think this might already happen. Okay, yeah, here it is. Now you can see here that a Watchtower, it's running, and it says session done. In most cases, it just performs a normal log message saying session done, but after a while, you could see something like this. So it says found new vehicle cicd. This is saying basically that it found a new image, and it restart the container that was running that image. So you can see here that the to-do app exited with code 0, which means everything went well, and it restarted. Okay, so now if we go to our to this URL, which is my local host, which is actually serving the files, if we update it, we should see that the code changed. Now, keep in mind, we're serving these files locally, but when you're running this on your VPS, it should work exactly the same way. And all you will need to do is set up your Docker Compose file, which will look exactly the same as it did in our configuration, and run Docker Compose app from your VPS, and that will be it. And whenever you perform changes and you merge code to your main branch, you will be able to automatically update it, and this is what your users will be looking at whenever the code is updated. So that's pretty much it. If we go back to the presentation, we can see that we achieved everything that we wanted. We use GitHub to build and push a new Docker image to Docker Hub. The app running the container with Docker Compose app pulled the latest image from Docker Hub, and Watchtower was the service that was listening for those changes. Okay, now lastly, a few things to keep in mind. The same steps will apply whether running locally or on a VPS. As I said, you should look into how to manage environment variables when dealing with this kind of configuration. Know that runtime bars and build time bars are handled different. So another thing is that single page applications might need advanced Nginx configuration for routing. Also, an important note is that Watchtower will restart any updated container, so make sure to tune the settings to control the behavior and try to achieve the behavior that you are expecting. And lastly, this workflow works for full-stack applications using something like a reverse proxy as well. Now, these are things that I've encountered learning this myself, so I want to make things easier for the next person that is trying to learn this. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, make sure to leave it in the comment. Also, if you are more familiar with self-hosting and CICD or anything related to this video, and you feel that I missed on something, please make sure to comment as well so I can learn. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope this turns out useful for you and you implement in one of your projects. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Have fun, and yeah, goodbye.